In the Arabian traditions related to the pyramids of Giza, there are three principal legends connected to their construction. The first concerns the character of Hermes, the ancient Greek deity and son of Zeus. The second is attributed to Surid, one of the antediluvian kings. And the third is of Shaddad ibn Ad, the southern Arabian warlord, who not only at one point in history conquered the entire Arabian Peninsula, but is also believed to be the ruler of a now destroyed race of giants. While the Western theory on their construction has been focused on whether it was really the North Africans, Sub-Saharans, South Europeans, or even aliens as the architects of the pyramids, another less popular but equally significant hypothesis concerns the potential Arab origin of these megalithic structures. Could our entire understanding of the pre-modern history of Egypt be wrong? Could the builders of these pyramids be a lost tribe from Yemen? A debate on who built the pyramids was recently ignited when celebrity Egyptologist Yahya got into a media spat with Ali Jum'ah from the world-renowned Al-Azhar University. Hawass criticized Jum'ah for comments he made during the program Masr Ard al-Anbiya in early 2020, where he stated that it was the Prophet Idris who taught the ancient Egyptians how to build the pyramids, and that the Sphinx was built in his honor. The idea that Prophet Idris, otherwise known as Enoch amongst the Christians and Hermes amongst the Greeks, was responsible for the rise of the Egyptian empire continues to be a long-held theory amongst Arab historians that goes back thousands of years. Two other candidates for the pyramid's grand architect were the Egyptian king Surid, otherwise known as Khufu or Cheops, and Shaddad ibn Ad, the builder of the Pillars of Iram, an advanced city that is believed to have once existed somewhere in the empty quarter between modern-day Oman and Yemen. Apart from the fact that he was believed to be a giant of mythical height and proportions, what makes Shaddad ibn Ad the most significant candidate out of the three is his theorized influence over the entire Middle Eastern region, conquering parts of Persia on one side and Northeast Africa on the other. In modern times, the Arab involvement with the construction of the pyramids is not even considered as a realistic possibility, with people believing more in the concept of ancient aliens than ancient Arabians as the architects. This is partly due to the fact that not much is spoken about or even known about Shaddad ibn Ad. His history is as vague and as mysterious as the pyramids themselves, as him and his city of giants have only briefly appeared in several different Islamic texts, Arabian folklore, and in the papers of a handful of fringe Western archaeologists, as well as in the books of one prominent early 20th century horror writer. In earlier episodes, we examined the fictional stories created by H.P. Lovecraft and how his extremely nihilistic works of cosmic horror sometimes focused on Yemen. Lovecraft's knack for creating a fictional world partly based on a pastiche of pagan Middle Eastern folklore and turn-of-the-century academic studies of the Orient seems to have partly been inspired by the works of medieval Arab historians, in particular, their theories concerning the real existence of a city inhabited by a race of giants. Lovecraft refers to their home as the Nameless City for dramatic purposes, but we all know he was referring to the lost city of Iram, the home of Shaddad ibn Ad. Arguably, the first medieval Arab personality to truly popularize the notion that the giant Ibn Ad was the builder of the Egyptian pyramids was the Sultan Harun al-Rashid al-Ma'mun, the 7th Abbasid Khalifa, who reigned from 813 until his death in 833. Al-Ma'mun led a large army into Egypt, where he ordered the breaching of the Great Pyramid of Giza to find treasure. The occultist Manly P. Hall says in his lecture, Atlantis and the Gods of Antiquity,
the great Sultan of the follower and descendant of the great Al-Rashid of the Arabian Nights, Sultan Al-Rashid bin Mamun, decided to open the Great Pyramid. He had been told that it was built by giants who were called the Shaddai, superhuman beings, and that within that pyramid and those pyramids they had stored a great treasure beyond the knowledge of man. So, taking his court with him, the Sultan went to Egypt.
The hypothesis that the pyramids were built by literal giants has been a popular idea for countless decades. For example, the first pharaoh of Egypt, Menes, who some Egyptologists believe was the real Scorpion King, is depicted as being very tall on the famous Narmer palette. It is this depiction of him and other ancient Egyptian idols and kings, in comparison to regular humans of that time, that lends weight to the idea that maybe not all ancient Egyptians were mere humans. Even if some of those depictions are quite obviously meant to represent the regal and not physical status of these individuals, there is physical evidence that suggests the latter. Academics from the University of Zurich examined photographs and measurements of the bones, believed to be those of the pharaoh Sennacht, discovered in 1901, classifying his skeleton under the category of gigantism, a rare condition that causes enhanced growth in children due to the abnormal production of somatotropin from the pituitary gland. Sennacht would have towered over his contemporaries of that time. He was estimated to be 187 centimeters tall, while the average Egyptian man would be about 162 centimeters. However, with regards to the construction of the pyramids themselves, we are not merely referring to clinical gigantism, but actual giants. Prior to the sci-fi work of Lovecraft, the Ad giants were most famously known due to the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad via Quran and Hadith. The Prophet speaks of this tribe of people as a cautionary example of what can happen to even the most powerful nations that become too arrogant and forget God. And powerful the people of Ad were, both intellectually and biologically. According to Islamic scholars, the people of this tribe were very tall and strong. The tallest among them was 100 cubits in height, and the shortest was 60 cubits, which is 90 feet. When it comes to intellect, some Islamic scholars say that Shaddad ibn Ad was fascinated with obtaining knowledge. Whenever he read about the paradise that the Prophet spoke of, he imagined that he could build such a paradise here on earth, leading to the building of his doomed city, Iram. This city is said to have been built not only using advanced technology that his intellectually superior tribe developed, but also via the use of dark occult methods such as magic and maybe even the jinn. As a result, God wiped them from existence. Consequently, today in the 21st century, there are now only a few vague references to their actual existence outside the Quran and Hadith. Concerning their city, it is said that Surah Al-Haqqah, verses 6 to 8, that God sent the people of Ad a strong cold wind for 7 nights and 8 days, until that wind destroyed them and they died, leaving their metropolis buried somewhere beneath the sands, and their bodies scattered into the sea. Iram's cataclysmic destruction, recounted also in 1001 Arabian Nights, must have occurred towards the end of the Roman period, historians say. We believe that in this attempt to build heaven on earth, it is theoretically possible that Shaddad ibn Ad was responsible for the building of Petra in Jordan, a city associated with another Yemeni tribe, the Nabatshians, as well as the city of Alexandria, but more about Alex later. Most significantly, however, is his theorized construction of the pyramids. Writing for the Ancient Origins website, the historian Hugh Newman states that one of the most famous medieval books written about Shaddad and his connection to ancient Egypt can be found in Akhbar al-Zaman, otherwise known as the Book of Wonder. This book is a compilation of medieval lore about Egypt and the world before the Great Flood. With this connection to the flood, he implies that Shaddad was in fact a Nephilim giant, thus playing into the narrative that alien or biblical supernatural giants were in some way connected to the construction of the pyramids. However, his conclusions have drawn a heavy amount of scrutiny, even from other alternative theorists, who say his research and understanding of Arabic texts are flawed and insufficient. Yet, a great number of Middle Eastern scholars from as far back as the medieval period were open to the idea that Arabian giants built the pyramids, but with that possibility, there was also a consistent thread of mild skepticism in their writings. For example, Abdullah ibn Ad, a 9th century historian born in Fustat, Egypt, who wrote the book Fatah Masr wal Maghrib wal Andalus, said, "The pyramids were built at the time of Shaddad ibn Ad, based on what the historians tell us, but they could find no true knowledge of the pyramids or certain concepts in the work of any of the scholars of Egypt." In addition to this, historians like Jason Colavito and pretty much everyone else who believes the pyramids were some other origin than Arabic points to holes in this theory. Quoting the 15th century scholar Al-Maqrizi, he says, "There's no agreement on the time of their construction, the names of those who have raised them, or the cause of their building. Many conflicting and unfounded legends have been told of them. However, there is no smoke without fire, as Shaddad's existence in ancient Egypt goes beyond the pyramids and into the city of Alexandria." Some historians have noted that in the book Fatah Masr by Abdullah ibn Abd al-Hakam, Queen Cleopatra had Arab assistance in the building of Alexandria, as sometime during the medieval period, a stone bearing the inscription, "I am Shaddad ibn Ad, and I am the one who erected the columns, dug the quarries, and single-handedly dammed the valley. These achievements will never die nor fade away into oblivion," was found. If this is true or a legend, we cannot yet say. However, a question mark has always lingered over the location of Iram of the Pillars, the home of Shaddad. While it is generally accepted that it once existed in southern Arabia, others have suggested that it could have been as far north as Syria or even Egypt itself. Leaving Cairo out of the equation, maybe Alexandria is the real Iram of the Pillars. If that is the case, then Alexandria's name has achieved something Shaddad has failed to do, and that is to have a name everyone knows that has withstood the sands of time. So what do you think? Who constructed the pyramids? Should we give more consideration to the medieval Arab perspective? Or could the pyramids be North African, Sub-Saharan, or even alien? Leave your comments below. If you like this content and want to continue the growth of this channel, please subscribe and hit that like button. Also, check out its Patreon, because right now it's helping more than YouTube, since channels like this are not being recommended like before. The link is in the description box and pinned comment. Also, check out my personal channel, Optimistic Arab. I have recently upgraded my audio equipment significantly, so I'll be sharing what new content I personally have with you there. The link is also below.